Brian, talking about the events of Thursday night.
Alright.
My name is Nick. I was one of the arrestees. I was in jail with Brian after his concussion, and we were actually really concerned for his safety and well-being. He did not seem like if he fell asleep that he would still be alive and with us today.
Alright, so real quick, let's just go through a brief run-through of the events as they happened, like guys were from the park to when the police actually interaction with the officers.
So I got in a little late into the group up there, but we were hanging around for a minute and held a GA, I believe, and then a couple minutes later, about 4 officers showed up and were down at the outskirts of the park, down the steps from us, and they declared the area at the bottom of the stairs around the porta potty to be a secure area, and they said that anyone that entered said secure area would be arrested. So we were all kind of talking about that up top, and then eventually Eddie Roth, the mayor's aide, showed up with a couple more cops. There were about 10 cops at that point. They came up, tried to tell us that they were going to enforce the curfew for the park, but we kind of drowned them out with music and chants, and they ended up being pushed back from the park, which was probably one of the more beautiful things I've ever seen. And they didn't like it too much, so a couple minutes later, several more officers came in, and we decided to take to South Grand and march in the street since they were going to enforce the curfew on the park. And about 20 feet after we got into the street, cops just started rushing people. I was actually standing on the sidewalk. I wasn't planning on fully participating in the night. I was there to observe and for my roommate's sake hold on to his keys in case he was arrested so I could drive his car home. So I was trying to stay out of it and just kind of observe. But I was on the sidewalk watching as they rushed the crowd and beat my friends over the head and tackled them. A man next to me was tackled by 5 officers at once and slammed into a car parked on the side of the street and pushed over the top of the hood onto the ground, where they arrested him and beat on him a bit. And right as that was happening, I saw another officer run right past me chasing after someone, and when the guy got away, the officer turned around and just kind of locked eyes with me and didn't say a word. Took a couple steps forward and full force struck me in the throat with his baton, and kind of used it to pull me around up against him and choked me for a couple seconds before he threw me to the ground and hit me over the back of the head repeatedly with his baton before 2 more officers came in and helped him continue to beat me in the back of the head and kicked me in the ribs and my lower back. And then they handcuffed me, and another officer standing by my head kicked me full force in the jaw, and I now have a permanently displaced jaw, and several of my teeth are also displaced. I suffered a severe concussion from it. I was put into the paddy wagon, and a few minutes later they loaded one of my friends in, and he was covered in blood. It was horrible, but they closed the back door of the paddy wagon, and an officer walked up to the front where the cops sit and cranked up the heat on the car to full blast, and then closed the door and left us in there with it for about 25 minutes before they came in and started to drive off. And they made sure to slam us around a lot. They were hitting their brakes heavily at random points. They pulled like a full-on rip at one point. I could hear the tires squealing when we took a corner. Then we were loaded into the Justice Center to be processed and booked. And several people, after we were put in cells, were calling for the officers or COs to take me to a nurse or a medic or to the hospital for medical attention, and they refused to treat me for any injuries. They said I was faking it, and told other people in the Justice Center that weren't with us that we were all Nazis that had been busted at a rally, and that they should beat us. And when my friends continued to call for medical help, they took everyone out of the cell but me and threw them in the drunk tank. And then while I was by myself, they told the people in the cell next to me that when they got moved over to jump me, and several of the guys that moved over told me about it and how fucked up it was. No one jumped me because they saw the extent of what the police had done and like recognized that they were just completely full of it. But I was bailed out at around 3:30 or 4 a.m. And when I got out, one of my friends drove me down to Barnes Jewish Hospital, where I got checked out and documented everything. They took a bunch of x-rays, told me that my jaw and teeth were displaced, and that I had suffered a severe concussion. And so now I'm on a bunch of painkillers and such for swelling and all the stuff that happened, all because I stood on the sidewalk and didn't do anything.
Alright, so there were alleged reports by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that said that protesters from the Occupy movement had actually shattered a police cruiser window, or windshield rather, and that was one of the key points in them actually getting physical with the protesters. How true are those statements, and what is your account as far as that action goes?
I personally can't verify that anyone busted out the window. I've seen the pictures, but to me it sounds completely implausible because there were at least like 50 to 80 cops all standing by those cruisers. So there isn't any way possible that someone could have slipped by all of those officers and had time to bust up a window and get away with all of those guys standing there. There's no possible way that could have happened. I think that it was probably something they did after the fact themselves to try and justify the use of excessive force against peaceful demonstration.
Doesn't that say something about the job that they're doing as police? If they had that big of a force, like I've heard that the call through dispatch went through that every one cop in the city that was available should drop what they're doing and get there. If their entire police force was there and they weren't allowed to catch somebody breaking a window, how good of a cop are you?
Yeah, and I mean, it has to be said that even if someone had busted the window, does that justify beating several other people who had nothing to do with the incident?
How does this change your opinion on the St. Louis Police Department and by proxy the St. Louis government bodies?
I've never really had a lot of respect or thought towards the mayoral office in St. Louis. I'm not particularly fans of them. I usually try and take care of things in my neighborhood or like issues like that by reaching out to the other people I live around to create a network between us so that everyone can watch out for themselves. So the way I see it, I don't really need their assistance in anything. I haven't in the past, nor will I continue to reach out to the St. Louis Police Department or the mayoral office for any sort of assistance when I can reach out to people on the streets who are more in tune and can help each other help ourselves.
does this incident actually lessen your passion to Occupy, or would you say it's strengthened it?
It definitely hasn't lessened it. If anything, it probably reinvigorated my passion for it, because for a while I kind of left for a bit. I was there for a while, took 2 arrests early on for Occupy St. Louis, and then through all of the stuff that just comes with that, of living with people in a close space for so long, I couldn't deal with it for a bit, had to take a break. But after I saw what happened the other night, and what happened to me, it makes me want to reach out more to the movement and to other people and try and make people aware of what's happening. Because I mean, earlier today I made the poor choice of looking up video footage on YouTube of the events, and I instantly was shaken up, and I threw up at one point just watching the videos. And what made it even worse was reading some of the comments on YouTube of people saying how they were thanking the St. Louis police for doing such a good job and how we deserved it. And I don't see how people can have that stance. I just want to reach out to them and talk to them and open their eyes, because even if I saw extreme force used on a group that I didn't agree with, I would still think that that was incredibly messed up, and no one should ever be brutalized for voicing their opinions. And I just want to help other people see that.
You're not from the St. Louis area, correct?
No, I'm from Minneapolis. I was up here as a journalist, just trying to cover events.
You were there the night of police actually physically assaulting the protesters, is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually assaulted as well, because I had a camera and had what was basically incriminating evidence after the cops beat people senseless with batons. I witnessed one officer running from 20 feet away with a baton in hand and take somebody down, beating them repeatedly in the head. That's where I was actually arrested, because I was standing less than 10 feet away filming it, and they saw me with the camera and took out both me and another journalist that was standing right next to me.
How does this affect your opinion of St. Louis?
Well, I was actually in Oakland and Berkeley. I was there for the port shutdown in December, and was there the night that Berkeley was first being evicted. Witnessed some of the police brutality that happened there. I hadn't seen anything like that anywhere or heard of it yet in the Midwest at all. To be totally honest, this felt like I was back in Berkeley and Oakland, and the same level of police brutality, senseless violence against peaceful protesters. I definitely don't have a very high opinion of the police here, and I'm definitely going to look at following through some legal action. And
lastly, how has this affected your whole outlook on the Occupy movement? Has it kind of lessened your activity level? Has it kind of strengthened your resolve?
I think in general it's going to be the same case as anytime they come at peaceful protesters with violence. That basically says that their message can't be expressed with words. They have no contest to the actual facts that we're trying to express and get out there. Their argument is basically so weak that it comes to violence. I think it only makes our case stronger. Every time that they come at us, we're just going to be peaceful and let them do what they're going to do and just fight it in court.
Well, you guys, I'd like to thank you for actually sitting there, taking about 20 minutes to talk to me, and I'll try to get this footage edited and get it uploaded to YouTube.